My hands trembled as I stared at the mirror. My face, no, what was left of it, was just skin stretched over bones. My once full cheeks were sunken, my lips cracked, my eyes was hollow like a ghost. I looked like a walking skeleton. And it was all because of him, my husband, Emeka, the man I loved, the millionaire who swore to protect me, had stolen my pad and used it for what I don't know, and did this to me. I stumbled back. My legs were weak, my breath ragged. The memory of last night flashed in my mind. The chanting, the strange symbols on the floor, the way Emeka held my used pad over a burning fire, whispering words I didn't understand. Then the pain came, a sharp, twisting agony in my stomach, like something was sucking the life out of me. I screamed, but no one heard me. Now, as I stood in our luxurious bedroom, the same room where we had laughed and loved, I realized the truth. My husband was killing me. And worse, he wasn't done yet. 3 months ago, I was the happiest woman in Lagos. My name is Adanne, and I was just a simple market girl before Emeka walked into my life. He was rich, handsome and charming, everything a woman could want. When he asked me to marry him, I thought God had answered my prayers. Our wedding was the talk of the town. A big white dress, a Rolls Royce, champagne was flowing like water. I moved into his mansion in Lekki, with servants calling me madam and designer clothes filling my wardrobe. But then, things changed. First, it was the nightmares. Every night I dreamed of dark figures surrounding me, whispering in a language I didn't understand. I would wake up sweating, my heart pounding. Then, Emeka started acting strange. He would leave the house at midnight, returning before dawn with mud on his shoes. When I asked him where he went, he would just smile and say, "Business, my love." But the worst part? My body began to feel weak. No matter how much I ate, I kept losing weight. The doctors couldn't explain it. They ran tests, gave me medicine, but nothing worked. Then one night, I saw it. I woke up to find Emeka standing over me, his hands covered in something dark. My heart stopped when I realized he was holding my pad, the one I had used days before. Before I could scream, he pressed a cloth to my face and everything went black. When I woke up, I was tied to a chair in a dimly lit room. Strange symbols were drawn on the floor in red. Candles flickered around me, casting long shadows on the walls. And Emeka stood in the center, chanting, my pad burning in a small clay pot. That was when I knew. My husband never loved me. He had married me for something far worse. The smell of burning herbs filled the room, thick and suffocating. My wrists ached from the rough ropes cutting into my skin. Emeka's voice rose in a low chant, his eyes glazed over like a man possessed. The flames from the clay pot flickered, casting mysterious shadows on his face. I wanted to scream, but fear had stolen my voice. Then the pain hit again, a deep, gnawing agony in my stomach, as if something inside me was being ripped away. I gasped, my body convulsing against the ropes. Emeka turned to me, his lips curling into a smile that sent chills down my spine. "Soon, Adanne," he whispered, his voice smooth like honey but cold as death. "Soon you will give me everything." So I didn't understand. What did he mean? What was he doing to me? Before I could ask, the door creaked open. A woman walked in, tall, regal, draped in a flowing red gown. Her eyes were sharp, her lips painted dark. She looked at me like a predator eyeing its prey. "Is it done?" she asked Emeka. "Almost, Mamunk Medlim," he replied, bowing his head slightly. Mamunk Medlim. The name sent a fresh wave of fear through me. Everyone in Lagos knew the rumors about her. The powerful witch who could make men rich or destroy them with a snap of her fingers. And now, She was standing in front of me. Her long nails grazed my cheek, and I flinched. "Such a pretty vessel," she murmured. "You chose well, Emeka." Vessel? What were they talking about? Then it hit me. They weren't just stealing my health, they were stealing my soul. 6 months before our wedding, Emeka was just another struggling businessman. He had big dreams, but no luck. His contracts failed, his money disappeared, and his enemies mocked him. Desperate, he went to a native doctor in the village, hoping for a breakthrough. That was where he met her. Mama Nkemdilim. She promised him wealth beyond his wildest dreams, but at a price. "Bring me a woman," she had said. "A woman with strong life force. A woman who loves you deeply. Her devotion will be the key." At first, Emeka refused, but when another business deal collapsed, leaving him drowning in debt, he made the evil decision that his decision, he would sacrifice love for money. And so he searched, until he found me. I was selling oranges at the market when he first approached me. "How much?" he asked, pointing to my fruits. I told him the price, but he didn't take the oranges. Instead, he took my hand. "What's your name?" he asked. His voice was smooth, his smile dazzling. I was shy, but something about him made my heart race. "Adanne," I whispered. He grinned. Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. From that day, he visited me every market day. He bought all my oranges, then waited to walk me home. He listened to my dreams, made me laugh, made me feel special, and promised to help me achieve my dreams. And when he knelt in front of my family's small house, holding a diamond ring, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. I didn't know I was just a sacrifice. See me now inside a ritual room, inside of Emeka, fulfilling his promises of helping me achieve my dreams. I am being offered as a sacrifice for riches. "Why?" I choked out, looking at Emeka. "Why me? Why did you deceive me?" He sighed, as if I were a child asking a silly question. "Because you loved me without question," he said simply. "That kind of love, it holds power. Mama Nkemdilim needs it to complete the ritual." Mama Nkemdilim nodded. "Your life force will make Emeka the richest man in Africa, and you, well, you won't need it anymore." My blood ran cold. They weren't just draining me, they were going to kill me. Just as Mama Nkemdilim raised a knife, the door burst open. A figure rushed in, someone I never expected to see, my younger brother, Chike. "Adanne!" he shouted, his eyes wide with shock. Emeka snarled. "How did you—" Chike didn't answer. He lunged at Emeka, knocking him to the ground. The clay pot tipped over, spilling the burning contents onto the floor. Mama Nkemdilim screamed as the flames spread. Her precious symbols were ruined. Chike grabbed my arm. "Run!" But before we could move, there was a loud bang. A gunshot rang out. Chike gasped, stumbling back. A dark stain spread across his shirt. Emeka stood, a smoking pistol in his hand, his face twisted in rage. "No one ruins my destiny," he hissed. The gunshot echoed in my ears like thunder. Chike's body jerked backward, his eyes wide with shock. A dark red stain bloomed across his chest, spreading fast. "Chike!" I screamed, my voice raw with terror. I tried to lunge for him, but the ropes held me tight, cutting deeper into my wrists. Blood trickled down my arms, warm and sticky. Emeka stood frozen, the gun smoking in his hand. Even he seemed surprised by what he had done. Mama Nkemdilim's face twisted in fury. "Fool!" she hissed at Emeka. "You've ruined everything!" The flames from the overturned pot licked at the wooden floor, casting wild shadows across the room. The smell of burning herbs mixed with the metallic tang of blood. Chike collapsed to his knees, gasping. His hand reached for me, trembling. "Adanne," he choked out. My heart shattered. This was all my fault. If I hadn't been so blind, if I hadn't fallen for Emeka's lies, this wouldn't have happened. Then something inside me snapped. A surge of anger, hot and fierce, flooded my veins. I would not let my brother die for me. I would not let Emeka win. With a strength I didn't know I had, I yanked against the ropes. The pain was unbearable, but I didn't care anymore. I struggled. The rope broke. 2 weeks earlier, Chike had come to visit me at the mansion. I was thrilled. My little brother rarely left the village, but as soon as he saw me, his smile faded. "Adanne, what's wrong with you?" he asked, his voice tight with worry. I frowned. "What do you mean?" "You look sick," he said, reaching out to touch my bony wrist. "Are you eating?" I laughed it off. "Of course, I'm just stressed, that's all." But Chike wasn't fooled. That night he stayed up late, watching. And he saw what I didn't, Emeka slipping out of the house at midnight. Chike followed him, all the way to Mama Nkdilim's shrine. Chike had discovered who Emeka was, even without my knowledge. Free from the ropes, I stumbled forward and caught Chike just as he slumped to the ground. His breathing was shallow, his skin clammy. "Hold on, Chike," I begged, tears blurring my vision. "Please, hold on." Emeka recovered from his shock and raised the gun again. "You're not going anywhere," he snarled, but before he could fire, there was a crash. A burning piece of the ceiling collapsed between us, sending sparks flying. The fire was spreading fast, filling the room with thick smoke. Mama Nkdilim shrieked, clutching her beads. "The spirits are angry," she wailed. "The ritual is cursed." Emeka hesitated, torn between finishing me off and saving himself. That was all the time I needed. Gritting my teeth, I hooked Chike's arm over my shoulder and dragged him toward the door. Every step sent sharp pains through my weakened body, but I didn't stop. I had to save my brother, who risked his life because of me. We burst into the night air just as the roof of the shrine caved in behind us. Panting, I laid Chike down on the grass. His eyelids fluttered. "Adanne," he whispered, Your phone." I frowned. "What?" With trembling hands, he pulled something from his pocket. "My phone. I recorded everything," he gasped. "Emeka, the ritual, proof." My breath caught. Chike hadn't just come to save me, he had come to expose Emeka. A loud boom made me turn back. The shrine was now fully engulfed in flames. Through the smoke, I saw a figure staggering out. Emeka, his clothes singed, his face covered in soot. Our eyes met. For a second, I saw something in his gaze. Regret? Fear? Then, a blood-curdling scream tore through the night. Mama Nkdilim emerged from the fire, her hair wild, her eyes glowing with unnatural light. She grabbed Emeka by the throat. "You failed me," she screeched. "Now you will pay." Emeka's screams were cut short as she dragged him back into the inferno. Emeka's screams faded into the roar of the flames. Mama Nkdilim had dragged him back into the burning shrine. Her fingers were like claws around his throat. The last thing I saw was the fire swallowing them both. A part of me wanted to run back, to save him despite everything, but Chike's weak grip on my wrist stopped me. "Adanne," he gasped, his face pale with pain. "We have to go." He was right. We couldn't stay here. With one last look at the inferno, I hauled Chike up, ignoring the agony in my own bones, and stumbled toward the trees. Behind us, the shrine collapsed in a shower of sparks. But just as I thought we were safe, a hand grabbed my ankle. 3 months into our marriage, Emeka started acting differently. He would wake up in the middle of the night, sweating and muttering in a language I didn't understand. At first, I thought it was stress. His business deals, the pressure of being a wealthy man in Lagos. But then, I found the book. Hidden under our bed, wrapped in black cloth. Its pages were filled with strange symbols, drawings of skeletons and names written in blood-red ink. When I confronted him, he laughed it off. "Just old family records," he said, kissing my forehead. "Nothing for you to worry about." I wanted to believe him, but that night I woke up to see him standing over me with a knife in his hand. He wasn't looking at me though, he was looking at my stomach. Now I realized I was stupid. I have informed my family and run for my life. That stupid decision to stay and believe his life put me here now. I kicked hard, my bare foot connecting with something solid. The grip on my ankle loosened and I scrambled back, dragging Chike with me. A figure emerged from the smoke. A man. His skin was burnt, his clothes still smouldering. Emeka. But he wasn't human anymore. His eyes were completely black, his mouth stretched too wide, filled with jagged teeth, and when he spoke, his voice was layered with something else. "Adanne," it hissed. "You can't escape," Chike groaned, clutching his bleeding chest. "Oh, run." But my legs wouldn't move. I was frozen, staring at the thing that used to be my husband. Then, from the flames behind him, she appeared, Mama Gemdelim. Her body was unharmed by the fire, her red gown untouched, but her face was peeling away, revealing something rotten underneath. "You think fire can kill me?" She laughed. Her voice was like a broken glass. "I am older than fire." Emeka, or what was left of him, turned to her, his black eyes pleading. "Mama, help me." She smiled. "You are no use to me now." With a flick of her wrist, Emeka's body twisted, bones snapping like dry wood. He let out one last loud scream before collapsing into a heap of ash. Mama Nkemdelin turned to me, her rotting lips curling. "Now where were we?" Chike's hand tightened around mine. "The phone," he whispered. I remembered. "The recording." With shaking fingers, I pulled it from my pocket. The screen was cracked, but the video was still there. Mama Nkamdilim's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" I didn't answer. Instead, I pressed play. The screen lit up, showing Emeka chanting over my pad, Mama Nkamdilim's voice giving instructions. And then, a voice from the phone spoke, deep and echoing. "You have been seen!" Mama Nkmbelim shrieked, clutching her head. "No!" The trees around us began to shake. The wind howled, though the night had been still. Something was coming, something powerful. Shadows detached from the trees, forming figures, tall, faceless, their presence making the air thick with dread. Mama Nkemdelin backed away, her confidence shattered. "This is not possible." One of the shadows stepped forward, its hollow gaze fixed on her. "You have abused the old ways," it intoned. "Now, you will answer." She turned to run, but the shadows swarmed her, wrapping around her like smoke. Her screams turned gurgled, then there was silent as they dragged her into the darkness. Just like that, she was gone. The shadows swallowed Mama Nkaidlim whole, leaving only silence behind. Chike gasped beside me. His breath was shallow, his blood soaking through my torn dress. The spirits, if that's what they were, turned their hollow gazes toward us. I held my breath, clutching the phone like a lifeline. Would they take us too? But then the tallest shadow spoke. Its voice was like wind through dead leaves. "You are innocent, but marked." It reached out a wispy hand and touched my stomach. A searing pain shot through me, worse than anything I'd felt before. I screamed as my skin burned where the shadow made contact. When it pulled away, a black symbol glowed on my belly, the same one from Emeka's ritual book. "The curse is broken, but the price remains," the spirit intoned. "One life for another." Then, just as suddenly as they'd appeared, the shadows dissolved into the night, leaving me with two terrible realizations. I was free from Emeka and Mama Nkemdelim, but something inside me had changed. Weeks earlier, before the nightmares began, Emeka had taken me to a fancy dinner. Over lobster and champagne, he'd asked a strange question. "Adanne, do you believe in destiny?" I'd laughed. Of course, God has a plan for everyone. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "What if I told you? Some destinies can be bought." At the time, I thought he was joking. Now I understood. The ritual wasn't just about wealth. It was about transferring life force. Mama Nkemdelim had promised Emeka immortality by draining mine. But spirits don't like being cheated, and now they'd left their mark on me. "Adanne," Chike coughed, blood speckling his lips. "The hospital..." I realized immediately we needed to go to hospital for treatment. Gritting my teeth against the pain from the spirit's burn, I hauled Chike up again. We staggered through the bush until we reached a road. A passing bike man saw us and nearly crashed in shock. "My God, what happened to you people? Help us," I begged. "My brother's been shot." The man didn't ask questions. He loaded Chike onto his bike, then helped me climb on behind. As we sped toward Lagos General Hospital, I realized three things. I looked like a walking skeleton. I had a supernatural brand on my stomach. My phone held video proof of ritual murder. This wasn't over. Doctors rushed Chike into surgery the moment we arrived. As nurses tended to my own wounds, a police officer approached, drawn by reports of a gunshot victim. "Madame, what happened?" I opened my mouth to speak, then clutched my stomach as the spirit's mark burned again. The officer's eyes glazed over. When the pain subsided, he blinked. "Sorry, were you saying something?" He didn't remember asking the question. That's when I understood the mark's power. It made people forget me. 3 days later, Cheek woke up. The doctors called it a miracle. The bullet had missed his heart by millimeters. When we were alone, he grabbed my hand. "Adanne, the video." I showed him what I discovered. Every time I tried to send or post the recording, the mark burned and the files corrupted. The spirits don't want it shared, I realized. Chike looked at my skeletal face, then at the news playing on the hospital TV. A report about Emeka's mysterious disappearance. What do we do now? I touched the mark on my stomach. The spirits had said, one life for another. Emeka was gone, but I was still here, which meant the curse had transferred to me. That night, I dreamed of the shadows again. "You carry the debt," they whispered, "but the choice is yours." When I woke, my reflection in the bathroom mirror had changed. My cheeks were slightly fuller, my eyes less hollow, and on the sink lay a single pad. The message was clear. The ritual's power was now mine to control. I could destroy the mark and return to normal life, but lose its power, use it to rebuild my life at a price. 1 month later, I chose to destroy the mark, but it came at a cost I didn't. Chike died 2 days after I destroyed the curse. His death was mysterious. He never complained of anything. He went to sleep and shouted at the middle of the night, and when I rushed in to check him, he was dead. My only brother and the one who was always ready to fight for me was gone. I blamed myself for not being careful enough before falling for Emeka, but how careful could I have been? He wasn't so rich when I met him. I wasn't after wealth, despite being a poor girl selling oranges in the market. I was patient to build with him, but Emeka wasn't patient, and rather chose to use my life for sacrifice. Maybe if I didn't meet Emeka and continue to sell my oranges in the market, my brother would have still been alive. I couldn't just sleep as we prepare to bury Chike the following day. I was consumed with all the dreams he shared with me and how he intends to take our family out of poverty. All that is gone and would be buried with him. Chike's burial was a high emotional moment for all of us as a family. My parents were aware the evil man I married caused everything that happened. My father wanted to react and blame me for bringing an evil man to the family. He wanted to say I wasn't patient enough to find the right man. I saw it on his face when he refused to answer my greetings nor look at me, but my mother held him back and refused to allow him blame me. My mother knew how hard-working I was. She knew I wasn't after wealth, but life happened to me. But I still blame myself. I should have raised alarm earlier. I saw the red flags, I saw the signs immediately after our marriage, but because of love, I chose to ignore. I thought someone who loves you would always protect you and even prevent any harm from coming your way. I was wrong. I and my family paid dearly for my stupidity, and I hope my story teaches young women out there that no matter how you love, don't drop your brain. Don't allow love to blind your sense of reasoning. It's good to trust, but always watch out for any suspicious acts and speak out when it matters. I've not only lost my brother in this, I have also been told that I wouldn't be able to give birth. The several hit on my stomach and the spirit's marks on my stomach had destroyed my womb. This is a consequence of keeping quiet when it matters, for believing everyone is like me. I hope you learn from my story. Love, but don't lose yourself because of love. Speak out when it matters to save yourself and your family before the evil spreads. After the burial, I returned to Lagos, broken and shattered. As I sat in my room that night, I made my decision. I can't lose everything and go back to the market to sell oranges again. I knew where Emeka kept the documents of his house in Lekki and also have access to his bank account. Early in the morning, I took the documents and discovered they were originals. I called a housing agent who came few minutes after. I negotiated with the man and sold off the Lekki apartment and also withdrew the few millions on his bank account. I realized Emeka was just greedy. He would have been managing with this money or even selling off the Lekki apartment, get a house in a low-cost areas in Lagos and we would have been okay. But he wanted to become extremely rich and maintain the Lekki landlord status by attempting to take my own life. After selling off the Lekki apartment and withdrew the few millions in his account, with over 200 million naira in my account, I wasn't satisfied. The thought of losing my brother still weighed me down. I couldn't go back to the village to even build a befitting house for my family. I couldn't buy a car or house for myself because people would conclude I used my brother for ritual. I can't be rich and enjoy the luxuries while my brother is beneath the earth. To free myself, I donated 90% of the money to charity while I used the remaining 10% to open a grocery shop in front of the house where I lived. As I sleep that night, I pray to God to forgive my brother and hope the prayers of the charity home that received the money goes to him. Forgive me, Chike, for dragging you into my mistake, I said, as I laid my head and sleep with a smile for the first time after his death. If you like this story, comment, share and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories. I would like to read your views about this story.